Friends, welcome back. If you are here, if you found this video today, I believe it was not by accident, because what I am about to share with you is something that most people walking through a grocery store will never stop to think about, something that doctors rarely mention, something that the loud world of modern nutrition has almost completely buried beneath protein powders, energy drinks, and expensive synthetic supplements. I'm Elias, and today we are going back to the roots. We are going back to the garden, to the orchard, to the ancient trees and climbing vines that fed human minds and human bodies long before any of us were born. Today I want to talk to you about your brain, not in the complicated language of laboratories, but in the simple, grounded language of nature, the language that healers have spoken for thousands of years. Here is something that genuinely moves me every time I think about it. While you sleep tonight, your brain does not rest. Not truly. It enters one of the most active and important phases of its entire existence. It clears away the cellular waste that builds up during the day. It strengthens the neural pathways that hold your most important memories. It repairs damage. It rebuilds connections. It consolidates everything you learned, everything you felt, everything you experienced, and it files it away for you to carry forward. Your brain, friends, is a night worker, a quiet, tireless, miraculous night worker. And here is what I have come to understand after decades of study and observation. What you eat in the hours before that work begins matters more than most people will ever know. The right foods, the ancient foods, the fruits that grew in gardens long before grocery stores existed, can gently support that repair process. They can give your brain the raw materials it needs to do its work more completely, more deeply, more effectively. The wrong choices, the processed sugars, the artificial flavors, the foods stripped of their living intelligence, can interfere with that process in ways that quietly add up over years and decades. I've spent over 30 years with my hands in the soil and decades studying ancient texts and traditional herbal wisdom. What I share comes from both experience and careful observation. I am not a doctor. I do not prescribe. I do not diagnose. What I offer you is the accumulated wisdom of traditions that have been tested not in laboratories, but in lifetimes, in generations, in the lived experience of people who understood that the earth, if we listen to it, provides everything we need. Today I will share 10 fruits with you. Each one carries a story, each one carries wisdom, and each one, according to both ancient tradition and modern research, may offer real support to your brain and your memory during the hours you sleep. Some of these will surprise you, some may already be in your home, and a few, I hope, will inspire you to look at the natural world around you with fresh and grateful eyes. If you value this kind of grounded natural wisdom, take a moment right now to subscribe to this channel and leave me a comment below. Tell me what natural food or remedy has made the biggest difference in your life. I read every single one, every single one. Now, let us begin. I have 10 things to share with you today. And we will start with one that surprises most people. Number 1, blueberries. Friends, let us start here, because this small and humble fruit carries one of the oldest and most powerful stories in the natural healing world. Blueberries have grown wild across the forests, hillsides, and marshlands of North America for thousands of years. Long before any European ever set foot on this continent, indigenous healers and communities had already developed a deep and sophisticated relationship with this fruit. They dried blueberries for the winter months. They brewed them into teas. They used them in ceremonial foods. And they observed, over generations of careful attention, that this fruit seemed to support the mind, the memory, the clarity of thought. Traditional wisdom teaches us that foods which grow slowly, close to the ground, in cool and often challenging conditions, tend to develop the most concentrated healing properties. The blueberry is a perfect example of this truth. It does not grow quickly. It does not grow easily. It grows with patience, in acidic soil, in conditions that would discourage many other plants. And that patience, that quiet persistence, is reflected in what the fruit carries within it. Modern research suggests that blueberries contain some of the highest concentrations of natural antioxidant compounds of any fruit on Earth, particularly a family of compounds called anthocyanins, the pigments responsible for that deep, beautiful blue and purple color. These compounds, according to researchers, may support healthy communication between brain cells, protect against oxidative stress, and support the brain's natural inflammatory response, all processes that are deeply active during your sleeping hours. Many people have found support by making blueberries a regular part of their early evening. A small handful, fresh or frozen, perhaps stirred into a little natural yogurt, or simply eaten quietly on their own. You do not need a large amount. Traditional wisdom was never about excess. A small bowl, eaten mindfully, consistently, over weeks and months, that is where the real value lives. From everything I've learned over the years, the blueberry is one of the most powerful and most accessible brain-supporting fruits on this earth, and the fact that it is small, inexpensive, and widely available is a gift we should never take for granted. Start here. Start simple. Start with the blueberry. Number 2, pomegranate. Friends, if there is one fruit that appears more consistently across the ancient healing traditions of the world than almost any other, it is the pomegranate. In Ayurvedic medicine, one of the oldest healing systems known to humanity, the pomegranate was called a pharmacy unto itself. Ancient Persian healers used it to support memory, clarity, and what they described as the sharpness of the inner eye. In traditional Chinese medicine, it was used to nourish the blood and calm the spirit. In ancient Egypt, it was found in tombs, carried into the afterlife as a sacred provision. This fruit has been honored across thousands of years and dozens of civilizations. That is not coincidence. That is accumulated human wisdom. I remember when my grandfather first showed me a pomegranate tree growing near the old stone wall at the edge of his garden. He was a quiet man, a careful man, someone who chose his words the way he chose his seeds, slowly and with intention. He handed me one of the fruits, heavy and red in my young hands, and he said, "This tree is older than your grandfather's grandfather, and it is still feeding this family." Think about that. I have thought about it many times since. Modern research suggests that pomegranate contains natural compounds including punicalagins and punicic acid, which may support healthy blood flow to the brain and protect brain cells from oxidative damage. And from everything I've learned, healthy circulation to the brain during sleep is one of the foundational conditions for effective memory repair and consolidation. Traditional wisdom teaches us that the pomegranate works slowly, and that is exactly how it should be trusted, not as a quick fix, but as a faithful companion to a life lived close to nature. Many people have found support by drinking a small glass of pure pomegranate juice, no added sugar, no artificial anything, in the hour before bed, just a small glass. Just a quiet moment of intention before you rest. Your brain works hard while you sleep. Friends, give it the ancient support it was designed to receive. Number 3, avocado. Now, I want to take a moment here, because when I mention avocado as a brain-healing fruit, I often see surprise on people's faces. We have been taught to think of avocado as a daytime food, a savory food, a food for toast and salads and afternoon meals. And while all of that is true, we have forgotten something important. The ancient civilizations of Mesoamerica, the Aztec, the Maya, the peoples who cultivated this fruit for thousands of years before the rest of the world ever tasted it. They knew something we have largely forgotten. They called the avocado a brain fruit, a fruit of the mind. Healers in these traditions observed that those who consumed avocado regularly, particularly older members of the community, seemed to maintain their mental sharpness and their memory with greater consistency than those who did not. They did not have the language of modern neuroscience, but they had something equally valuable: generations of careful, patient, loving observation. Modern research suggests that the natural healthy fats found in avocado, particularly oleic acid, may support the myelin sheaths that protect and insulate the brain's neural pathways. These protective structures are actively maintained and rebuilt during your sleeping hours, and the natural folate and vitamin K found in avocado may further support healthy brain cell function and blood flow. From everything I've learned, a few slices of ripe avocado in the early evening, perhaps with a small pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon, is one of the most quietly powerful things you can offer your brain before sleep. It is not dramatic. It is not expensive. It does not require a special supplement or a complicated protocol. It is simply a fruit, an ancient fruit, a fruit that has been quietly feeding human minds for thousands of years. Humble, simple, profound. That is the nature of true healing wisdom. Number 4, dark grapes. Friends, the grape is perhaps the most storied fruit in all of human history. Grapes appear in the earliest written records of human civilization. In ancient Mesopotamia, in the texts of traditional Chinese medicine, in the healing traditions of Greece and Rome and Persia, the grape was never simply food. It was medicine. It was ceremony. It was life. And it is the dark grape, the deep purple and black varieties, that carry the most concentrated healing properties. Traditional wisdom teaches us that the darker the fruit, the more powerful its medicinal qualities. This was understood intuitively by healers who did not yet have the tools to explain why. They simply observed, recorded, and passed the knowledge forward. Modern research suggests that dark grapes contain high concentrations of resveratrol, a natural compound that has become one of the most studied substances in the field of brain health and longevity. Researchers have found that resveratrol may support the brain's natural ability to clear cellular waste, a process called autophagy, which is most active during deep sleep. Think about what that means for you. Every night, while you rest, your brain is running a kind of internal cleaning cycle. It is removing the metabolic byproducts that accumulate during your waking hours. And some researchers believe that supporting this process is one of the most important things we can do for long-term brain health and memory preservation. Dark grapes, eaten in the early evening, may gently support that process. From everything I've learned, a small cluster of dark organic grapes, eaten slowly and mindfully in the hours before bed, is a simple and beautiful act of care for your aging mind. Nature rarely asks for excess. A small amount offered consistently is the way of the ancient healer. Number 5, bananas. Now here is one that genuinely surprises people, and I love sharing it for that reason. Most of us have been taught to think of bananas as a morning food, an energy food, something you eat before a workout or alongside your breakfast. And there is truth in that. Bananas do provide wonderful natural energy, but ancient healers in tropical cultures across Africa, Southeast Asia, and Central America knew something about this fruit that we have almost entirely forgotten in the modern world. They knew that the banana, eaten in the evening hours, carried within it the very building blocks that the human brain uses to prepare itself for deep and restorative sleep. The banana contains natural magnesium and potassium, 2 minerals that support the relaxation of the nervous system and the muscles. It contains vitamin B6, which plays a direct role in the production of serotonin, and it contains tryptophan, the amino acid precursor to both serotonin and melatonin, your body's primary sleep and mood-regulating compounds. From everything I've learned, eating a ripe banana approximately 1 hour before bed may gently support your body's natural transition into the deeper sleep stages, the very stages where memory consolidation and brain cell repair are most active. Many growers I've spoken to over the years, people who live close to the land and pay careful attention to their bodies, say they noticed a genuine and meaningful difference in their sleep quality within just a few weeks of making this one simple evening habit. Not a dramatic intervention, not an expensive supplement, just a ripe banana, eaten quietly, as a small and intentional act of care. One banana, one peaceful evening ritual. That is where transformation begins. Number 6, cherries. Friends, if there is one fruit on this entire list where ancient wisdom and modern science speak with the clearest and most unified voice, it is the cherry, particularly the tart cherry, the small, deep red, slightly bitter cherry that has grown across the temperate regions of Europe and Asia for thousands of years. Traditional healers across these regions use cherry preparations to support restful sleep, to calm an anxious mind, and to ease the kind of deep tiredness that does not seem to lift with ordinary rest. In traditional European herbalism, cherry bark and cherry fruit were used to support the nervous system and encourage what old texts called the deep sleep of restoration. They did not have the language to explain the mechanism, but they observed the results, and they passed the knowledge forward. Modern research now tells us something remarkable. Tart cherries are one of the very few natural food sources of melatonin found anywhere in the plant kingdom. The same compound your brain naturally produces to signal the onset of sleep is present, ready and available in this ancient fruit. Modern studies have suggested that consuming tart cherry juice before bed may support both sleep duration and sleep quality. And it is during quality deep sleep that your brain conducts its most significant repair and memory consolidation work. From everything I've learned, a small glass, perhaps 4 to 6 ounces, of unsweetened tart cherry juice, taken in the hour before you sleep, is one of the most powerful, most natural, and most consistently overlooked tools available to anyone who wants to support their brain health through the night. This is not complicated. This is not new. This is ancient wisdom, confirmed, and it is available to you tonight. Number 7, kiwi. Friends, I want to share something with you that genuinely moved me when I first came across it in my studies. The kiwi fruit, small, bright green, covered in that humble brown skin, has been quietly doing remarkable things in the world of natural sleep and brain research. But before we get to the modern studies, let me tell you about the traditional relationship between this fruit and the healing traditions of the Pacific and East Asia. In traditional Polynesian culture, the kiwi and its wild relatives were valued as fruits of vitality and nervous system restoration. They were given to those recovering from illness, to those suffering from mental fatigue, and to elders who needed support maintaining their clarity and their memory. In traditional Chinese medicine, similar fruits were used to nourish what practitioners called the kidney and liver energy, systems that in that ancient framework were considered deeply connected to mental clarity, memory, and the quality of sleep. Modern research suggests something fascinating. Studies examining the effects of kiwi consumption before sleep have found that eating 2 kiwi fruits approximately 1 hour before bed may support falling asleep more quickly, sleeping for longer periods, and achieving more restful and uninterrupted sleep cycles. And here is why that matters so deeply for your brain. The longer and more complete your sleep cycles, the more time your brain has to move through the critical stages of repair, consolidation, and restoration that determine how sharp, clear, and resilient your mind will be in the days and years ahead. From everything I've learned, the kiwi may be the single most underestimated fruit in the natural healing garden. Small in size, quiet in its reputation, but powerful, consistently and humbly powerful in what it may offer your sleeping mind. If this kind of wisdom is speaking to you today, consider subscribing so you do not miss what is coming next on this channel. Number 8, figs, friends. The fig is one of the oldest cultivated fruits on this earth. Archaeologists have found evidence of fig cultivation dating back over 11,000 years. 11,000 years. That means human beings were intentionally growing and tending fig trees before they were growing wheat, before they were growing corn, before almost any other cultivated food we know of today. That is not a coincidence. That is a very old and very deep relationship between a fruit and a people. In ancient Mediterranean tradition, figs were considered a fruit of wisdom and longevity. In Islamic healing wisdom, the fig was described in sacred texts as a fruit of the highest order, one that drives away disease and supports the mind. In Ayurvedic tradition, figs were used to support memory, to nourish the nervous system, and to support the kind of deep rest that heals the whole body. I remember sitting with an old herbalist many years ago, a man who had tended the same fig tree in his courtyard garden for over 40 years. His hands were weathered, his eyes were clear and sharp, and when I asked him the secret to his remarkable mental clarity at his age, he smiled and pointed at that fig tree. He said, "You eat the fig slowly, and the fig works slowly. That is how real healing moves, not in a day, not in a week, but across seasons, across years, across a life lived in right relationship with the earth." I have never forgotten those words. Modern research suggests that figs contain natural calcium, magnesium, potassium, and tryptophan, a combination of compounds that may work synergistically to support the brain's nighttime repair processes and encourage the deeper stages of restorative sleep. Traditional wisdom teaches us that soaking 2 or 3 dried figs in water overnight, and then eating them in the early evening hours, creates what old healers called a living tonic, food made more bioavailable, more gentle, more deeply absorbed by a body that is preparing to rest. Your ancestors knew things that took modern science generations to begin to understand. The fig is one of those things, and it is available to you tonight. Number 9, papaya. The papaya is a fruit of generosity. It grows large and warm and golden in the tropical sun. It gives its sweetness freely. And within that sweetness, it carries one of the most remarkable natural enzyme complexes found in any fruit on earth. Traditional healers across Central America, the birthplace of this fruit, use papaya not only as food but as medicine, particularly for what they described as the heaviness of the blood, the sluggishness of the body, the cloudiness of the mind that comes when the body's internal processes are burdened and inflamed. They observed that papaya, eaten regularly, seemed to lift that burden, to clear that heaviness, to restore a lightness of body and mind that they associated with genuine health. From everything I've learned, what those ancient healers were observing was the anti-inflammatory and enzymatic activity of this remarkable fruit. Papaya contains a natural enzyme called papain, one of the most powerful plant-based enzymes known, which may support the body's ability to break down and clear the proteins and cellular debris that contribute to systemic inflammation. And inflammation, friends, particularly the low-grade chronic inflammation that quietly persists in so many bodies today, is increasingly understood by researchers as one of the key underlying factors in cognitive decline, memory impairment, and disrupted sleep. Modern research further suggests that the natural antioxidants found in papaya, including beta-carotene, lycopene, and natural vitamin C, may support healthy brain cell function and protect against the oxidative stress that accumulates during waking hours and must be cleared during sleep. Many people have found support by eating fresh, ripe papaya in the early evening. When the fruit is fully ripe, when it is soft and golden and fragrant, that is when its enzyme activity is at its most potent. That is when it gives most fully. A humble fruit, a generous fruit, a healing fruit, one that deserves a place at your evening table. Number 10, mulberries. Friends, I have saved this one for last because it is the one closest to my heart. The mulberry is a fruit that most people living in the modern world have never tasted. And that, to me, is one of the quiet tragedies of our time. Because the mulberry was once everywhere. Mulberry trees grew in nearly every traditional garden across Asia, the Middle East, Persia, the Mediterranean, and much of Europe. They were planted near homes, near healing centers, near schools and places of learning. They were planted near anywhere that human minds were meant to grow and flourish. There was wisdom in that placement, and it was not accidental. In traditional Chinese medicine, the mulberry has been honored for over 2,000 years as one of the premier tonics for the brain, the blood, and what practitioners called the spirit of the mind. Ancient texts described it as a fruit that nourishes the deepest roots of mental clarity, that supports the memory across the long arc of a life. In Persian healing tradition, mulberries were given to scholars, to elders, to anyone whose mental work demanded sharpness and sustained clarity. In early Ayurvedic texts, the mulberry was classified as a fruit that builds ojas, the subtle life essence that in that ancient framework underlies all mental and physical vitality. This fruit was loved, honored, and carefully cultivated across the old world for a very long time. And then, somewhere in the rush of modern agriculture and global food systems, it was forgotten. Modern research suggests that mulberries contain a remarkable combination of natural compounds, resveratrol, anthocyanins, flavonoids, and natural iron, that may work together to support healthy brain aging, protect against oxidative damage to brain cells, support healthy circulation, and maintain the kind of cognitive resilience that allows the mind to remain clear and sharp across the years. From everything I've learned, the mulberry is perhaps the single most powerful forgotten fruit in the ancestral healing garden. If you can grow a mulberry tree, grow one. They are generous trees. They ask for very little and give abundantly. If you can find fresh mulberries in season, eat them with gratitude. If you can find them dried, add them to your evening. Let them do their quiet ancient work. Some things that are old because they work. And the mulberry has been working for a very long time. Friends, let us take a quiet moment together and walk back through everything we have explored today. Number 1, blueberries. The ancient anthocyanin-rich brainberry, humble and powerful and always available. Number 2, pomegranate, the sacred fruit of kings and healers, supporting circulation and nighttime neural renewal. Number 3, avocado, the ancestral brain fat fruit of the Aztec healers, nourishing the protective layers of the mind. Number 4, dark grapes, carriers of resveratrol and supporters of the brain's natural nighttime cleaning cycle. Number 5, bananas, nature's evening preparation food, rich in the building blocks of sleep and calm. Number 6, cherries, the melatonin fruit, honored by ancient healers and confirmed by modern researchers for deep restorative sleep. Number 7, kiwi, the small and overlooked fruit with a quietly remarkable effect on sleep quality and brain repair. Number 8, figs, one of the oldest foods on earth, a living tonic for the nighttime brain. Number 9, papaya, the generous tropical fruit that clears the inflammatory burden and supports the sleeping mind. Number 10, mulberries, the forgotten ancestral berry, ancient tonic for the brain, the blood, and the spirit. Now, before you go, here is one simple truth that most people overlook. And this truth, friends, may matter as much as which fruits you choose. It is not only what you eat, it is when you eat it and how you eat it. Eating these fruits 2 to 3 hours before sleep, rather than immediately before bed, gives your body the time it needs to begin absorbing their natural compounds, so that when sleep takes you, those compounds are already present in your bloodstream, already circulating, already supporting the work your brain is preparing to begin. Eat slowly, eat mindfully, eat with gratitude for what the earth has provided. Your body responds to what you give it. Choose wisely, and it will serve you well. Now, friends, I would love to hear from you. Which of these 10 fruits surprised you the most? Was it the kiwi, with its quiet and consistent power? Was it the mulberry, that ancient forgotten friend? Was it the humble banana, carrying its evening gifts that we never thought to notice? Tell me in the comments below. Your words are not just responses to a video. They are part of a living conversation. A conversation that connects us across distances, across backgrounds, across the different paths that brought each of us to a place where we are seeking something real, something grounded, something true. This community is built on shared wisdom, not borrowed from laboratories alone, but carried forward from the earth itself, from the gardens of our grandparents, from the orchards of healers whose names we will never know, but whose knowledge lives on in every seed we plant and every fruit we eat with intention. If this spoke to you today, I ask you to share it. Share it with a friend who has been struggling with sleep. Share it with a parent or grandparent who is worried about their memory. Share it with anyone in your life who might benefit from being reminded that nature has not abandoned us, that the old wisdom has not been lost, that it is waiting quietly and patiently in the garden, in the orchard, in the small, humble fruits that have been feeding human minds since the very beginning. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do so now, because what is coming next, I believe you will not want to miss. In the next video, I will share the ancient evening herbs that healers across the world have used for centuries to deepen sleep, protect the aging mind, and support the kind of nighttime restoration that modern life has quietly stolen from so many of us. It will be worth your time, I promise you that. Friends, your body is a temple, and nature provides exactly what it needs. Step outside, touch the soil, look at the trees around you with new eyes, and begin. I'm Elias. Until next time, stay rooted in truth. God bless.